Welcome back to Ultimate Reddit Drama. We're incredibly grateful for your support. Before we begin today's tale, tell us which city or country are you joining us from? We love connecting with our global audience now. Let's dive into today's story. The day felt like a waking nightmare for Tessa Mitchell. She sat in her father, William Mitchell's, office as the announcement of the new successor of Mitchell Enterprises was being made. She had devoted her entire life to this company, stood by her father through every crisis, and worked tirelessly to prove her worth. But today, when she should have been reaping the rewards of her dedication and hard work, she was being completely overlooked. The new CEO of the company will be Liam, William Mitchell declared in a cold, unwavering voice. Something inside Tessa shattered. She looked into her father's eyes, clinging to one last shred of hope that this was some sort of joke or a terrible misunderstanding. But no. His face was stern, his decision final. "You didn't even discuss this with me once?" Her voice was calm, but a storm was brewing inside her. "Tessa, I've never doubted your capabilities," William said, his tone almost dismissive. "But Liam has to take over this legacy." "Legacy," she repeated with a bitter chuckle, devoid of any humor. "Liam has done nothing for this company. He doesn't even understand the basics of business, and yet you're handing over Mitchell Enterprises to him?" William shrugged as if it wasn't a big deal. "He will learn, and you will help him." "Me?" A dry laugh escaped her lips. "You expect me to teach someone who has no right to lead this company in the first place?" William lowered his gaze slightly. "Tessa, you are an exceptional businesswoman, but leadership isn't just about intelligence. It's about legacy." Her patience had run out. She couldn't bear to hear another word. Holding back the emotions threatening to consume her, she straightened up. "If this is your decision, I will accept it completely, but on my terms." She met her father's eyes, and in that moment, it was clear. This wasn't an acceptance. It was a declaration of war. The very next day after Liam's appointment as CEO, Tessa could feel the shift in the office atmosphere. Liam now sat in the chair once occupied by William Mitchell, acting as if he belonged there. "Tessa, this is a new beginning for both of us," Liam said with a grin. "I want you to be my chief operating officer. You know this business better than I do, and I want us to move forward together." Tessa looked at him, expressionless. "I need some time," she said in a composed voice, "to adjust to this change." Liam shrugged casually, as if it was no big deal. "Of course, take your time." But Tessa knew this wasn't just change. This was betrayal. Now she had to create her master plan. That night, Tessa sat in her apartment, an old journal in her hands. It was the same one where she had once scribbled down her business ideas, dreams of building something great. But tonight, she wrote just one word: revenge. She knew that if she wanted to take back the company, she couldn't attack it head-on. No, she had to hollow it out from within, slowly, methodically, without raising suspicion. Her first step was to win over the real power players of the company, senior board members, the head of the finance department, and the employees who had been the backbone of Mitchell Enterprises for decades. She invited the chief financial officer, Robert Davis, for coffee. "Robert, do you really think Liam is capable of running this company?" Robert didn't answer immediately, but the hesitation in his eyes was enough. "I just need a little time," she said softly. "And if you're smart, you'll realize what the right decision should be." Robert remained silent, but Tessa could tell. He was thinking about what she had said. Next, she started working on the company's public image, slowly chipping away at its credibility. She planted rumors in the market that Mitchell Enterprises was no longer as strong as it once was. She created doubt among investors, making them question the company's future. And her biggest move, she manipulated Liam into signing deals that carried high risks and minimal profits. Piece by piece, her strategy began to unfold. A month later, Liam made his biggest mistake yet. He signed off on a reckless acquisition, one that led to catastrophic losses for the company. Mitchell Enterprises' reputation took a severe hit. The board members were furious. Shareholders were losing confidence. The company was now teetering on the edge of collapse. And this was the moment Tessa had been waiting for. Now she had only one final move left to make. She called her father's oldest business associate, James Harper. "I can save this company," she told him, "but I'll only step in when it's completely destroyed." Harper studied her carefully. "What's your plan?" Tessa smiled and replied, "Now this company will belong to me alone, and by the time my father and brother realize it, it'll be far too late." The game was now completely in Tessa's hands. Mitchell Enterprises was on the brink of ruin. The board members were in disarray. Liam still couldn't comprehend how everything had gone so wrong. And most importantly, William Mitchell, for the first time, was beginning to realize that he had made a grave mistake. Very soon he would be on his knees, begging for help from the very daughter he had cast aside. But this time, Tessa would set the terms. She wouldn't just take back the company, she would make it entirely her own. The night deepened, but a storm of thoughts raged in Tessa's mind. The city skyline shimmered outside her apartment window, just as it had for years. Yet tonight, everything felt different. This was the same city where she had once walked side by side with her father, watching Mitchell Enterprises rise to power. But now she had to fight her own family to prove herself. Sitting in front of her laptop, she sifted through financial reports, investor meeting notes, and recent business decisions made by the company. These were the same documents that once reflected a strong and thriving enterprise. But now, one wrong move, and the empire would collapse. She scanned the list of Liam's recent deals. There were names on it that no seasoned business leader would ever trust. Under his so-called CEO vision, Liam had made new investments, but it was clear he didn't understand the realities of running a business. Spinning a pen between her fingers, Tessa smirked. Mitchell Enterprises was in a dangerously fragile state. All she needed to do was wait for the right moment, and then she could seize full control. The next morning, she arrived at the office. Liam, as usual, sat in his chair, completely unfazed, surrounded by people who only existed to nod and agree with whatever he said. But one thing was clear. None of them had the company's best interests at heart. "Tessa." Liam greeted her with a bright smile, as if nothing was wrong. "I was thinking we should come up with a new strategy, something to push us even further ahead." Tessa masked her emotions and gave a subtle nod. "Absolutely," she replied. "But have you considered the recent investments you've made? I think we need to be a little more cautious." Liam waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, don't worry. We have to take risks if we want to move forward." Tessa was now completely certain. Liam was digging his own grave. Within weeks, one of Liam's deals collapsed spectacularly. Mitchell Enterprises' reputation in the market took a hit, investors started raising concerns, and shareholders grew increasingly unhappy. But Liam still wasn't taking it seriously. Tessa moved on to the next phase of her plan, hollowing out Mitchell Enterprises from the inside. She began meeting with her old allies one by one. Robert Davis, the company's chief financial officer, was her biggest asset. "Robert," Tessa said during one of their meetings, "you know where this company is heading. If we want to save it, we have to make the right moves at the right time." Robert shook his head, clearly troubled. "Liam's decisions, they're not good for the company." "And you know he won't realize that on his own," Tessa said coolly. "We have to let him see his mistakes firsthand. And by the time he does, it will already be too late." Robert thought for a moment, then slowly nodded. "I'm with you." Next, Tessa began fueling the narrative of Mitchell Enterprises' decline in the media and market. She spread rumors among major investors, suggesting that the company was becoming unstable due to poor decision-making. Gradually, Confidence in the company began to erode. Board meetings became increasingly tense. "Liam, we need to reconsider our strategy," a senior board member said. "Is it wise for us to invest in deals with such uncertain returns?" Liam grew irritated. "This is just a temporary setback," he snapped. But Tessa could see it. His voice no longer carried the confidence it once did. Tessa delivered her most lethal blow yet. She arranged a private meeting with her father's oldest business associate, James Harper. "James, we need to talk," she said. "Your father won't like this, Tessa," Harper warned. "This is no longer about what my father likes or dislikes," Tessa replied. "This is about saving the business." Harper considered her words carefully before asking, "What's your plan?" Tessa's smile was subtle but razor sharp. "I'm going to buy this company, and by the time my father and Liam realize what's happening, they'll have no other option left." Then came the day she had been waiting for. Liam made an extremely reckless acquisition, plunging the company into severe financial trouble. Mitchell Enterprises was now in full-blown crisis. Board meetings turned into chaos. "We don't have much time," an investor shouted. "If we don't act fast, we'll be completely wiped out." For the first time, William Mitchell, who had remained composed through it all, looked genuinely concerned. Taking a deep breath, he said, "We need a new strategy." The boardroom fell silent. Then someone hesitantly suggested, "Maybe we should talk to Tessa." Liam's face turned red with anger, but deep down, he knew he couldn't fix this on his own. Finally, William Mitchell let out a heavy sigh and admitted defeat. "Call her." Tessa, who had been waiting for this moment, sat calmly across from her father. "So, now you remember me?" she asked with a slight smirk. William took a deep breath. "We need your help, Tessa." She lowered her gaze for a moment, but her eyes remained cold. "I can save this company," she said. All eyes were on her. "But I have conditions." The board members exchanged uneasy glances. William's voice was quieter now. "What conditions?" Tessa smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I won't just save it. I will own it." This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was time to overthrow the power structure of Mitchell Enterprises entirely. A heavy silence filled the room. The same board that had once dismissed Tessa was now pleading for her help. Their faces carried a mix of fear, unease, and reluctance. But Tessa's expression remained unreadable. She had given her entire life to this company, and today she was ready to take the empire into her own hands. She looked at her father. There was a time when she had craved his approval. Now, he needed her. "I can save this company," she repeated, her voice unwavering. "But my terms are non-negotiable." William Mitchell exhaled deeply. "What are your terms?" Tessa's smile remained, cold and precise. "The first and most important condition: Liam is removed as CEO." Liam, who had been sitting silently until now, shot to his feet. "That's impossible. I am the rightful heir to this company." Tessa turned to him with an icy stare. "You are this company's biggest liability, Liam. If you still think your arrogance will save you, you're a fool." Liam trembled with rage, but the board members avoided his gaze. They knew Tessa was right. "Second condition," she continued, drumming her fingers lightly on the table. "I want full control of the company." William clenched his fists. "You want to take my company away from me?" "You were the one who refused to give it to me," Tessa replied evenly. "Now I'll take it on my own terms." The board members exchanged anxious glances. They had no other choice. 2 days later, Liam Mitchell was officially removed as CEO. The board appointed Tessa as the interim CEO, but she knew this wasn't temporary. Mitchell Enterprises was now in her grasp. But the victory wasn't complete. She still had to make her father bow to her. William Mitchell sat in his office, his face weary and defeated. He had spent his entire life building this company, and now it was under his daughter's control. Tessa stood at the door, her voice calm yet firm. "How does it feel, Father?" William looked up at her, the shadow of loss evident in his eyes. "Are you happy?" Tessa let out a quiet chuckle. "Happy? No, Dad. I didn't do this for happiness. I only took what was mine." William took a deep breath. "Maybe I was wrong, Tessa. Maybe you were the one who should have been running this company all along." "It doesn't matter anymore," Tessa replied, "because now this company is mine." For the first time, she met his eyes, not with the need for approval, but with the certainty of her own power. Now Tessa set her final plan into motion, the complete transformation of Mitchell Enterprises. She severed old business alliances, restructured the company, and placed her most trusted people in key leadership positions. Slowly but surely, Mitchell Enterprises was entering a new era, Tessa's era. And now, no one could stop her. Months later, Tessa sat in her new office, the same office where her father had once sat. A soft knock echoed at the door. She turned, and there he was, William Mitchell. He looked at his daughter, the same woman he once saw as weak, now the most powerful figure in the company. "You won," he said quietly. Tessa smiled, unwavering. "No, Dad. I just took what was always mine." This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was a new beginning. Tessa leaned back in her chair, but the fire in her eyes remained as fierce as the day she had first envisioned the future of Mitchell Enterprises. This empire was hers now. But she knew the war wasn't over yet. Liam was gone from power, but she wasn't naive enough to believe he would surrender so easily. For the past few days, she had sensed a strange tension in the office. Some senior executives still struggled to fully accept the transition. To them, she was still William Mitchell's daughter, not the formidable leader she had become. She knew she had to prove her authority. She needed to make a move so decisive that no one would ever question her power again. That evening, as she sat in her office, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She answered. "Tessa Mitchell, you will pay for what you've done." The voice was laced with anger and resentment. She recognized it instantly. "Liam." "Oh, so now we've reached the threat stage?" She responded calmly. "You betrayed me," Liam shouted. "This company was mine. You threw me out of my own empire." "That was your mistake, Liam," Tessa said coldly. "You never truly made it your own. It was handed to you, and you never even tried to earn it. You treated it like a game, but this was never a game. It was power. And power always goes to the one who deserves it the most." There was silence on the line. Then, in a low voice, Liam said, "You think this is over? Just wait. I will watch you fall." Tessa smirked. "Falling is for the weak, and I am not weak. Now go waste your money elsewhere because Mitchell Enterprises is no longer yours." She hung up. In the following weeks, Tessa tightened her grip on Mitchell Enterprises. She systematically removed every executive still loyal to William Mitchell, anyone who might have conspired to bring Liam back. The board was now completely in her favor. The media buzzed with stories about how Tessa Mitchell had ousted both her father and brother from their own empire. Some called her ruthless. Some called her the most brilliant business leader of her generation. But she didn't care. She had taken what was always hers. One evening, as she was leaving her new office, she saw him, William Mitchell. His steps no longer carried the same authority, his face weary and defeated. "So it's true," he said quietly. "You've put your name on everything I built." Tessa met his gaze. "I only took what I deserved," she replied. "You ignored me, but I proved my worth." William exhaled deeply. "You were right, Tessa. You were always right." It was the first time she had ever heard those words from him. But now she no longer needed to hear them. The victory was already hers. That night, Tessa stood on her office balcony overlooking the city lights. She had built this on her own. This wasn't just a company anymore. It was her empire. And now, no one could stop her. No one.